Hi guys, this is Gaz from Radiant Civil Labs, and I'm going to demonstrate something I've come up with today to hopefully speed up open world games full of NPCs. Now, usually what people do is simply turn off the NPC when it's out of sight, but obviously you don't really want that in a lot of games like advanced open world games where people can go home or do a tour of the whole city. You don't want them to just stop when you look away, so there's lots of ways you can do that. But one thing I noticed is that if you have a lot of NPCs on, as you can see right now I'm producing a lot. I'll just give a little tour of this scene as I'm talking. So if you produce lots and lots and lots of NPCs like this, you can see they're actually going to these green spheres. There's 5 spheres that they can pick randomly from, and they start out here on these little platforms. But with a lot of guys like this, if you were to call SetDestination again with this many people, what happens is it kind of queues up the call to SetDestination. Unity doesn't want to cause a CPU spike, say if you ask for 10,000 paths. So it does it over a series of frames and returns a path when it thinks it can without jerking the game. So what it can result in is many people just stood still waiting for a path, and that shouldn't be such a bad thing, but it does appear in your game, and it starts to get obvious. Basically, I've stopped producing now, right? So they're just piling up. So you get these people who walk a bit and then stop, walk a bit and then stop, and I'm seeing it a lot in my main game actually. So it's highly frustrating. So I came up with an idea where I thought, what if people on the other side of the world did something a bit less stressful. So you turn off the agent altogether and you just use physics or mathematics to move them instead of them being a real agent. So that's what this demo demonstrates. So here, if I press shift here, what it'll do is it'll pick a new destination for all of the guys at each sphere, and you'll see them go to another sphere. So I'm going to press this now, and this will call a lot of set destinations over and over to really stress it out, but I've pressed it. So what you can see is, though, they don't all move at the same time. They actually are staggered. So there's lots of people coming out of each one, and now you can't see them piling around because I've turned off the colliders and the avoidance once I stress this out, just to make sure they're not physically jammed, so they can't get jammed. So you can see that they're leaving in a staggered way, and that is obviously very slow, right? In a game, if you wanted someone to move and they didn't move and they just kept stopping, it would look odd. And because someone on the other side of the map is getting their set destination delivered to them, but the ones you're actually looking at aren't. So I thought if I could do it with some sort of movement, like a loop, like get the path from the nav mesh agent, from the nav mesh. You don't need the agent when you use navmesh.calculatePath. Then it would be able to move them without the stress of the nav mesh agent. So I'm going to show that now by pressing space to toggle my fast nav thing. Notice that people are still leaving the spheres, but if I do that, when the beam hits these people, it will turn off the nav mesh and move them instantly to where they need to go using my code, which is basically a loop through a path from CalculatePath, which loops between each corner of the path given and gets them there without a nav agent. So that was all I was trying to achieve, actually, to get rid of that requirement on set destination, because my guys stop and start and go to places, so a lot of the time they're all asking for a destination at the same time. So I thought this way would be better, but in many ways I've discovered that it isn't. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Forget this.